All right, good evening. I'd like to open the September 5th meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission. We'll take a roll call. I do know Haley is traveling at the moment, so she may join later, but we're not sure. Ken,
Yes.
Jim,
Yeah.
Paul,
Yes.
Peter.
Here.
Teresa. I think Teresa might still be on vacation. All right, first up is approval of the minutes from August 15th. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Come on, Peter, you can do it.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I wasn't present, so I shouldn't be voting.
Yeah, I will also be abstaining. I was not
Oh,
present.
wait a minute. Yeah, okay.
Let me just see, do we have a quorum to vote on that?
Well, when was that? Okay, let me just look at the meeting.
Teresa is just joining, Bob.
Okay. But
Now
she,
you do.
all right, Teresa, hello.
Here.
Hi. Hey, we just had a motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 15th. So any discussion on those minutes? If not, all in favor? Jim?
Yes.
Ken?
I wasn't present, so I abstain.
All right. Paul, you were not present.
And I was not present either, so I don't know if that gives us a quorum. Who was it? I'm sorry, let me just go back to the minutes.
You were there,
Okay.
Peter, according to the
Okay.
minutes.
Okay. Then I approve them.
Okay,
Madam.
all right, so we have Jim. We have Peter. Teresa.
Yes.
And all right, so neither Ken, Paul, nor myself were there, and Haley is not on yet. So actually, we got 3 people to approve them. Don't actually have a quorum for approving those minutes without Haley's vote. So we will re-vote later if Haley joins us. If not, we will put that on the agenda for the next meeting. All right. Next up is, let's see, 7 o'clock. We get 94 Butler Ave, Department of Public Works. It's been requested that we open and just continue this as DEP is not quite ready for this. DEP has made comments that need to be addressed and responded to. So next up, we have 705, which is DEP 313621, and that is 10 Broadway. And do we have, I see John's with us.
Good evening. John Oberon, Hayes Engineering. If you recall at the last hearing, the only thing that I believe the commission was waiting for was a response back from DPW Engineering to a response back from our response to their comments. We did receive that just, a couple hours ago. But in going through it, basically all of the comments, it says that they have been addressed.
And where do you stand with the ZBA, John?
We're still working through with the ZBA. But we're kind of on the home stretch for working out. We're just kind of working out the final details and the actual decision. Probably in the next meeting or two, it will be approved.
Okay. Has there been any discussion from ZBA? I don't think we've brought it up, but with lighting plans?
Yeah, there was a lighting plan that was submitted as part of the package. I did send, unfortunately, it was right after we received the comments because I didn't think we were going to get them. I didn't want to send them to the commission until we kind of got the okay from engineering. But included in that set that I sent along, there is a lighting plan in there.
Okay. And that's the email that you sent tonight? Or
Yeah,
earlier?
that I sent tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
okay.
part of that package.
Okay, I don't think any of us have had a chance to look at that.
I wouldn't be surprised. The lighting plan itself didn't change. We had submitted a lighting plan previously. There really weren't any changes to it from what we submitted previously, other than we added some lights along the wall or the side of the building up against Main Street. There were some overhangs and we put some recessed lights in those.
Okay. All right, so next steps are to get comments back regarding the stormwater submission and to meet again with the ZBA.
Yeah, no, we got the comments back today
Okay,
from engineering. We got the comments, like I said, probably like an hour and a half ago, and I can bring those up if you want. But if you go through them, I think Rebecca had forwarded it to.
Yeah, she
He
did.
forwarded it today, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't know that anybody's actually seen them. I have not had a chance to.
No, I realize the timing is tough. I actually didn't think we were gonna even see them.
Have you had a chance to review them yourself?
Yeah, and I went through it, and as I said, the only basically it says if you go through them all, they all say either comment addressed or they have a recommended condition for the zoning board of appeals.
Okay,
So I believe based on that letter that engineering is all set with the design.
okay. Do you want to open that letter up, John?
Sure.
Thank you.
Why can I not move this? So there was several comments in here that had previously been addressed. So I won't go through those. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. This one. That was our response. So this is the letter from DPW today, dated today. Comments address. These are recommended conditions that engineering is suggesting for the ZBA. Kind of the newer ones too. They wanted us to depict a temporary stockpile location that's been added to the plan. It's actually outside of the 100-foot buffer. Moving along, they had some questions about meeting standard 3 and the recharge volume. We went in and explained that to them. that we were essentially doing to the maximum extent practical. And they came back, comment was addressed. They wanted to take a closer look at, there's a drain manhole that discharges out towards Broadway basically goes under Broadway. They want us to kind of break up the watersheds and analyze that in a little more detail. We did that. Again, these are not necessarily changes to the design per se. This is just kind of changing the stormwater model itself. And they were happy with our response to that. TSS removal, they want a little more, they want us to revise the calculations, which we did. And that's reflected in the stormwater management report. They had a question.
Hey, John, just a question there, sorry. So the TSS removal, so right now it's at 85%.
Yeah, the presumed removal is 85%.
What was it before?
I think it had to deal with the Barracuda. We were taking credit for 77% removal. They stated that we should be using the 80%.
Okay,
So it changed from 88 to 85. I mean, no, I don't remember what the original. I guess it was 83 in our original design. Now it's 85.
okay.
There was some slight changes in they questioning the proposed existing watersheds didn't match by about 1,200 square feet, and that's just based on there was some areas that discharge out towards the abandoned railroad tracks. Those are actually now getting pulled onto the site, so that's the reason for the difference. They were fine with that. 2, 3. I think it was just some labeling. They wanted some labels or some clarity in the labeling for our watersheds. That was addressed. They'd asked for some signage to be put out. This is out in the loop going in and out of the site. Some one ways, do not enter, is left turn only. That was added. And I think that was it.
Okay.
John, this was not part of the package that I saw this afternoon, that came in this afternoon from you.
This
memo was not in the package as an attachment.
No, I thought that was.
It came separately from Rebecca, Paul.
Yeah, Rebecca
It did,
sent it
okay,
earlier.
thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
we
not,
didn't
it was
see-
not John's email. It was separate.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry. This was.
oh, okay, I got it, yep. Came from Tim to Rebecca.
Like I said, I didn't really anticipate we were going to get this, so I wasn't. I would have forwarded that other information sooner.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think it was really, like it's a lot of notes, some tweaking of our stormwater model, but nothing really substantial.
So, and I'm sorry, what did you say? Was it the ZBA, you're waiting to hear from us before, and DPW before going back to the ZBA? Is that what you said, John?
Well, we were at the last hearing with the Conservation Commission, we were discussing closing the public hearing, but I believe the commission wanted to make sure we heard back from engineering that they were
Right.
okay.
But no, but what about the ZBA? I'm sorry. I know Bob and
Yeah, they're still the meeting on the 13th, I think it is. Yeah, 13th. And they're I think at that meeting we're working through like operation and maintenance plan. We're going to go through these plans that were submitted to engineering also. And, but I think we're very close with them.
All right. Is there anything else the commission is looking for? Or any questions for John? Elaine, do you have anything regarding this? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so no, I don't. I only have the same information that you all got from Rebecca.
Okay.
Yeah, and looking at the minutes from the last meeting, we were just waiting for the, it looks like, Bob, that as John said, we're just waiting for comments back from the engineering department.
Right. Right. All right. So, would somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Hearing none. Let's see. All in favor? Jim,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. All right, John, we are closed.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do
Okay,
you want to
fine.
talk about the orders of condition that we have to issue within?
Well, we are already 2 minutes behind schedule.
Okay,
for the
then
next
no is the
hearing.
answer. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Maybe later, at the end or at the next meeting.
Okay,
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have DEP 313624. This is 572 to 596 North Ave, Dana Lopez and Richard Nickerson. Continued public hearing.
Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, Chris Sparagus from the engineering and can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Yeah, just wanted to let you know I was here, and attorney Jesse Schomer is also present,
Hi, Jesse.
and so is the property owner, Dana Lopez. So, Mr. Chairman, we were last here before the commission on August 15th, and I know that Rebecca needed a little bit more time to prepare the order of conditions, and so we're here to answer any additional questions that you may have. I know the chair, Mr. Luciani, asked us to prepare a brief memo speaking to the work in the buffer zone, which we shared with Rebecca and the members earlier today. And I think the last thing Rebecca told me was that she wasn't going to be able to be present tonight. And so we're here tonight hoping that we can close our public hearing.
Chris, did you,
Sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
I'm sorry. Did you have something for us to look at?
yes, he sent it.
Yeah, I was about to ask if
Send
Chris
it.
could share that with us, because I
Yeah.
don't think,
It was a 3-sentence memo, maybe 4.
It was a 3-sentence memo.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a paragraph. I can pull it up on the screen. And,
Oh.
Pull it up
Okay,
on
I
the
can-
please do,
Bring it up
Chris.
on the computer. Bring it up on the computer.
I haven't had a chance to see all the emails that Rebecca sent today.
Okay, so can everyone see the screen here?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've blown it up a little bit. Can everyone read it? I'm happy to just read it into the record.
Sure, go ahead.
So this is with regard to work in the buffer zone on this particular project at 572, 596 North Avenue. So, and I'll go right into it. The proposed work within 25 feet of the bordering vegetated wetland on the above reference project will not result in any adverse impact to the adjacent BVW. As discussed with the commission previously, the existing buffer zone is not fully serving its regulatory purpose due to the presence of invasive species. In the case of 572 through 596 North Avenue, the Japanese knotweed. The project meets the performance standards in 310 CMR 10, which are the regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act for the buffer, and will not alter any of the applicable resource areas. The project will improve the buffer zone and its function, and thus improve the resource areas through the removal of the invasive species and the introduction of native species. This, of course, is a reference to our proposed invasive species eradication program. And so for those reasons on this particular project, these are the reasons that that we've given as to why the work that we've proposed, a portion of the project, lies within 25 feet of the wetland, but we do not believe it's going to result in adverse impacts to the wetland.
Okay, one other question. Did we ever resolve the issue with the on how you're gonna kill the
The
plants?
knotweed.
Yeah,
The knotweed?
the knotweed. So there was a question about the use of the rodeo product. The
Yeah.
active ingredient in rodeo is called glyphosate. And we did do a bunch of research, and I think Thorsten Akerley, who is the wetland scientist from our office at the last meeting, explained a little bit about the application of this, the use of this product. So glyphosate and herbicides containing glyphosate have been used widely across, I would argue, almost every state in the United States for the control of invasive species, including things like Phragmites and Japanese knotweed and purple loosestrife. The product is actually designed per the manufacturer's recommendations to actually be used and to be used safely, as long as you're following the manufacturer's recommendations, for broad spectrum spraying for plants like Phragmites that are actually in the water. So we obviously are not going to be treating anything that's in the water. For that matter, we're not even going to be treating things that are in the wetland. In fact, we're taking it another step back by using this product in a targeted manner only when we cut the stem of the Japanese knotweed stalk. On each stalk, we just spray a little bit on the open stem on each of the plants. So it's very specific, it's very targeted. And we do have a report that both the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources and Mass DEP, there's a review sheet for glyphosate, specifically the rodeo product. And in that document, I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a second here so I can pull it up. In that document from the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources and from Mass DEP, the summary for glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in rodeo, says when it's used as recommended by the manufacturer, it is unlikely to enter watercourses through runoff or leaching following terrestrial application. Toxic levels are therefore unlikely to occur in water bodies with normal application rates and practices. And so what I would like to argue in addition to that is that we're not even using it the way we can, because you can spray it. You put on a backpack and you kind of broadly spray across, leaves and plants over a broad area. You can even do it over the open water. We're not doing any of that, and we're only going to be doing it in a small portion of the buffer zone. So for those reasons, we believe that this is a product that can be used safely in this case per our eradication plan.
Mhm.
Thing, again, it was hoped, just thank you for that, Chris, but it was hoped that you could contact a person at DEP, and I know Rebecca was going to forward to you guys the contact person that she had there. And again, just to answer Jim's question, did anything happen with that? Did anyone follow up with the name that Rebecca had provided, or did you try and not get anywhere? Did you just not try because of what you just described?
So we did try to reach out to them. We hadn't heard back, and I personally haven't followed up a second time with them. But I do have this document.
I understood.
Yeah. So I'm happy to to share that information with Rebecca for the record. But everything that we've researched to date on this product, in multiple reports that we reviewed from various state agencies, most places use it more broadly than we will be using it.
So I think it would be helpful if what you just read to us, that you sent that to us,
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
so we have it for the record.
Sure.
And you said that appeared in a publication that was jointly published by DEP and Agriculture Department of the state?
So the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources also has an acronym. They call themselves MDAR, MDAR.
Okay,
And so it was put out on their letterhead, but it was a review that was conducted by MDR and Mass DEP
Okay.
for use in sensitive areas.
okay. So if you could send that along, that would be great.
Okay.
All right, any other questions from the commission?
No,
Any questions from the public?
I have one actually. I have a comment. So earlier I actually sent a rendered density map for Japanese knotweed in Wakefield. It was actually really bad. You can see it everywhere on the roadside. And then one of the method that and the chemical that he recommended it, which is the same chemical this gentleman just talked about. Another way they mentioned in the literature review is you can actually use a foam formula that stick with the leaves, and after they died off, you can then cut down the stems, which is another way to do it. Rather than cut it off, do the injection along the stem, which will be a little bit easier. So I just want to mention that.
Yeah, Henry, for the record, just introduce yourself and address.
Sure. This is Henry Q, resident at 2 Angem Lane. I'm here for another business, which is after this one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments from the public? All right, is there any other information the commission is looking for or requesting?
I'd just like to add, I have a memo here from Rebecca that you probably have a copy of that talks about suggested language for special conditions.
Yeah, no, we have, and we'll talk about those,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, want to make sure that you knew it.
Yeah.
You have. Okay.
All right, so if there's no other questions or comments, would somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
wait a minute, don't you wanna? Aren't you saying there's something you wanna look at? What were you saying?
It's conditions that Rebecca suggested.
Oh, okay, yep. I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Jim,
Yes,
Paul,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes,
and I also vote yes. All right, so yeah, Rebecca did send out some suggested language for some special conditions. I believe it's all around the invasive species removal. We could basically just read what she is suggesting. If you'd like, Chris, I don't know if she has had any discussions with you about any of these yet, but I can read those if you'd like.
Sure, that would be great. I don't think we've seen it yet.
Okay. So these are suggested language for some special conditions, and I believe they all do relate to the invasive species removal and maintenance of that. So a wetland specialist or restoration specialist shall be retained by the applicant to supervise invasive species removal, installation of native plants, and to monitor progress of planted areas in the buffer zone until it meets the requirements of this order. This person shall be professional with experience in invasive species management, buffer zone restoration, and a working knowledge of botany. Make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. The name, email, and phone number of the wetland restoration specialist shall be provided to the conservation agent upon retention. The commission shall be notified 1 week prior to invasive species removal to allow for a meeting between the agent and the professional responsible for executing the removal or replanting plan. Plantings between the wall and BVW shall be installed by hand, which I think you've already actually mentioned that would be done.
Yes, that's correct. Yep. Now, the only thing is, if I could just mention something, we are proposing to plant red maples back there. I think they can be done by hand. I don't, I'm just thinking if it was possible to get a small machine back there, but I don't even think it probably is. So that's perfectly acceptable.
Okay. Seasonal monitoring reports shall be prepared for the invasive species removal area and replanting area by a qualified wetland scientist. And we'll have to determine how long we want to do that for, but after installation. The monitoring program will consist of spring and summer inspections, which will include photographs and documentation that details the progress. These reports should include areas that have not been successful and a proposed resolution. So a monitoring plan, I guess we're gonna have to talk about how long we want that to be, just to make sure we are successful. I'm not sure if you have suggestions yourself on that one. You can think about it.
Sure. I just hesitated there for a minute because I believe in our management plan, let me just scroll down to the end of it here real quick.
I mean, it's typically what, 2 or 3 seasons.
Right. So annual inspection should then be followed. I'm just reading our, I think what Rebecca described is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, do you have a recommendation in your plan as to how long monitoring would be?
So if we take a look at the as removal and stabilization, and then planting, let's go over to long-term monitoring and aftercare. The site will be monitored and retreated the following year on an as-needed basis to help ensure the site is free of knotweed and the treatment areas are occupied by native plant species. Annual inspections should then follow for the remainder of the 5-year monitoring period.
Okay.
That's what we say in the long-term monitoring and aftercare.
That makes sense. As we know with knotweed, it's not something you're gonna knock out in the first, go around.
And it's important, the annual inspections are important because you want to grab these guys when they're still, small. They're much easier to remove.
Yeah, those rhizomes just spread out very quickly and far. Next up, she says the goal of the invasive species management program is to maintain these areas free of invasive species. Only species identified in the approved plan shall be removed by elective treatments. I believe the only invasive that's been identified is the knotweed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Next up is upon completion of the invasive removal, the area between the BBW and a retaining wall shall be allowed to grow in a natural state. No mowing, leaf removal, vegetation clearing, etc. shall be allowed within this area. And that is your intent, correct? After this is removed and every plantings are in place?
The idea is to let it go back natural. That's correct.
Right. And lastly, no landscaping debris, leaf litter, or snow shall be pushed over the edge of the retaining wall. And that's it for special conditions that she's suggesting. Any questions or comments from the commission regarding those?
Is this, when she talks about a period of years, should I put in 5 years on that?
Yes,
Okay.
please. And that agrees with what Chris just mentioned. Anything else, Elaine?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's all I had.
Okay.
Except the trouble with knotweed is that as you know, it's very difficult to get rid of. And my only concern is that if you want to keep this huge area and it is a huge base from which everything else can spread. Clear. Do you want to put a condition in there, a continuing condition that would survive the certificate of compliance, that the property owner shall remove the knotweed as patches begin to erupt, or whatever else you want to call it, so that after 5 years, if they've done a good job, but as you go back 7, 8, 9 years from now, you see it starting to come back. There's something in there that survives the order of conditions that requires the property owner to take care of it so that in 12 years, it's not all back again.
So really maintaining the invasive species control in perpetuity.
Ongoing, yeah.
Yeah.
Survive the certificate of compliance so that you don't have it back the way it was in 12 or 13 years.
Good point.
I think going in there once a year is not unreasonable. Going forward, I don't think that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, and hey, maybe after the 5 years, it's eradicated and you're good. But I think it's a good point that Elaine brought up, and thank you, Chris, for acknowledging that. So yeah, Elaine, let's add that in.
Okay. All right, so property owners shall perform an annual inspection and treatment. This shall be an ongoing condition and survive the certificate of compliance. You okay with that?
Yeah, Chris or Jesse, do you have any language or adjustments to that?
I think once a year ongoing, to extend beyond the certificate of compliance stage, something along those lines would be okay. Jesse,
Okay.
do you have a problem with that?
I have that. Yep.
Yeah, and I would just add that to be a perpetual, right?
Okay. Yep. Got it. Okay.
All right, so we have so we had a standard order condition plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 additional conditions specific to the invasive species management and removal. Is that right? And then you get 9?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, I do.
Bob, do you want to look at the new order of standard order of conditions, because there are some things that we're supposed to fill in areas of that are left blank in perpetual conditions. I don't know if you want to, Elaine, you have those, right?
Yes, she gave me the what I assume to be the latest revision of the order.
Yeah,
So
I'm
Bob,
looking at it.
again, there were sections of it that she covered, but sections of it I think it's just worthwhile to look at that. I don't know if you want to do that. It's under perpetual conditions.
Yeah, so conditions 44 through 49.
She covered 45 because she she said no landscaping shall be pushed over the edge of the retaining wall. So that covers I think number 45, right?
Okay.
But I'm just looking at the other. 46, the prohibition on use of pesticides within the wetland resource area. Obviously, that's not that doesn't apply because they're using
And the other side.
right.
Right.
I think that's still applicable because
Except
we're not using it in the resource area.
but it's within a certain number of feet of the resource area, Chris.
It is. Yep.
How close will you be getting to the resource area with your treatments?
Right to the line.
To the edge?
So what, I mean, and Matt, why can't we just accept except for the rodeo for, knotweed?
Mhm.
What?
I just
Yeah,
want,
so
I just
this-
want to make sure that somebody doesn't go ahead and start spraying it everywhere, right into the
Right.
well.
Yeah. Is there any knotweed? How far into the wetlands does the knotweed go?
It's in the buffers.
No.
We didn't go chasing it, but it's it's in a lot of places.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
but- yeah.
I guess the question I'm asking you is that is it going to be practical that you're going to be able to keep the knotweed out of the the area that you committed to getting out of when it's immediately adjacent, growing wild, like mad, immediately adjacent? That's all I'm really getting at.
Right?
I
It's
mean,
it's a pretty big property at
Yeah, and
5 acres.
it's all over the lot. I mean, it's all the way out to the street.
Okay. So
So
it's kind of inevitable that's going to be like a perpetual fight to keep it out of, because it's just going to keep moving in, right?
yeah, I mean, the area where, the limit of work to the street is, that won't probably be an issue because it's going to be all, worked, excavated and all that developed, but everything else, yeah. So condition 46, we probably just want to either strike 46 and reword it or just add language to 46 to specify the use of rodeo for, the invasive species management.
Other than what was approved under,
You see that, Elaine?
Yes, so from what I understand, what you're telling me is that condition 46 shall be struck and replaced with what I'm calling conditional 5, seasonal monitoring reports, and maybe condition 9. Because you are using it, so you would need to just strike it and replace it with 5, which talks about seasonal monitoring reports, and 9, which talks about annual inspection.
Yeah,
Are you okay with that?
or do you want to essentially change 46 to say, except for the use
Except.
of rodeo
Right,
for knotweed management or a suitable substitute
right.
per approval from the commission?
I think that's better.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, except for use of rodeo, and I'm sorry, can you give me the rest of that sentence?
Let's see. What did I say? Except for the use of
A rodeo according to the invasive species management.
yeah, or suitable substitute as approved by the commission. Say for instance, rodeo is no longer manufactured. And they need to come back before us with a substitute herbicide.
Okay, I got it.
I'm not sure the best way to say that, but you kind of get the idea, right?
Yes, except so I use the language that's there and then comma, except for use of rodeo according to the invasive species management plan or suitable substitute as approved by the Conservation Commission.
Perfect.
Okay, I got it.
Do we need the snowplow one, 48? I'm sorry, I skipped 47, sorry.
.47 is the use of fertilizer is prohibited within X feet of a wetland resource area. In the remainder of the 100-foot buffer zone, only organic, slow-release granular fertilizer shall be allowed. This condition shall remain in perpetuity and shall be recorded on the certificate of compliance. So it's talking about the use of fertilizers. Chris, did you have anything in your maintenance plan about the use of fertilizers?
So for the native species that are to be planted, we did not propose to use fertilizer or anything like that. They should be able to take without.
Yeah, nothing, I guess nothing outside the wall really should be any fertilizers, period.
That's right.
Once you're outside the perimeter of the wall. And that closest
The use
point
of the
is-
slow release product, in other places, that's fine. That's pretty common.
yeah, and that closest point was, I refresh my memory, was like 23 feet or 21 feet was the closest point to resource area. What was that dimension?
Let's take a look here.
17, maybe?
It's the wetland has kind of an odd shape. So I'll give you there is one close one after the wetland line ended up moving a little bit near the dumpster area.
Right.
So we have one flag that comes in like a triangle, and so we're about 10 feet away from the wall.
So
That's
maybe
the
what we say is, instead of a distance, in this case, specify that really there'd be no fertilizers used outside of the perimeter of the wall of the project, or something to that effect. Does that make sense?
Outside the retaining wall?
Yeah.
Okay,
So that would still allow the use of slow release fertilizers within the boundary of the wall for whatever landscaping is there.
got it.
That's a good visual too for people.
Right.
Okay,
48 is the no snow plowed shall be stored within X feet of the wetland resource area. Again, we have a physical border with the wall. I don't think we need to specify feet again. We can use the perimeter of the wall, or the boundary of the wall
Yep.
as that limit for 48.
That seems good. Chris, does that make sense?
It does. It's a very small area, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one is sodium chloride, right?
Yeah, 49, no sodium chloride shall be used within X feet of the wetland resource area. The use of untreated sand or de-icing products containing calcium chloride may be allowed. I know we talked about treatment. I don't recall where we ended with that, and what you've put in the O&M plan for this.
So if I heard you right, did it only specify calcium chloride?
So the condition as written says no sodium chloride shall be used within X feet of the wetland resource area. The use of untreated sand or de-icing products containing calcium chloride may be allowed.
So another common one that doesn't have sodium chloride would be potassium chloride. It's another common one that you
Right.
see at Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's not so much the sodium as is the chloride.
Yeah.
That is really the bigger issue. Though, given a choice, calcium or potassium would be favored over sodium. Did you have anything in your O&M plan on de-icing chemicals?
So we have in our stormwater report the guidance document that Mass DOT puts out for snow and ice removal in the Commonwealth. Let me take a quick peek at that. Okay, so we have a whole section on de-icing chemicals in the stormwater report. And the snow, it's the snow disposal guidance that's reproduced from Mass DEP's guidelines for snow removal, and it talks about why road salt is a problem, and let's see, best practices. So this had to do with more about the storage of de-icers. And let's see, salt storage prohibition standards around drinking water supplies and current salt storage practices. So this is for storage purposes. Let me see if I have anything else. Snow disposal guidelines. Let me just take a peek here real quick. So I don't think we have given ourselves any restrictions on the use of sodium chloride or any other product. It's just more about proper management to make sure that we're not storing those products in an inappropriate manner or disposing of snow in an inappropriate manner that's in conflict with state regulation.
Okay. I guess question for the commission. I wasn't here when some of these conditions were talked about. I'm curious about the condition of no sodium chloride, yet recommending calcium chloride. Where that I guess, how did that come about?
I
Anybody?
think we looked at other towns, conditions, Bob.
Okay.
And I gather you have some comment on it, Bob, do you?
Well, I guess I'm just curious why any of the, if we're gonna have a condition about no sodium chloride shall be used within X feet.
You think you just said that any chloride is bad.
True, right. So I'm just curious about that condition. I mean, oftentimes there's not a lot of alternatives, right? And you know, the state's going to use what they use on the roads, and you know, landscapers may or may not follow the recommendations, and it's hard to police that. I don't know. I guess I have mixed feelings about that condition.
So may I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So I just pulled up Bill Reynolds' website here, talking about salt, sand, and de-icers, which are the best to use during the winter, on the town's website. And Bill recommends using de-icers that include a different type of a product, a de-icer that includes sodium acetate, potassium acetate, and calcium magnesium acetate instead of salt.
Yes.
Which includes sodium chloride, calcium chloride, or magnesium chloride.
Yeah, all those chlorides are salts,
Yep.
and all have the same issues. That potassium magnesium acetate is actually a great alternative. It is certainly more expensive and not as easy to get, but it is very effective and very friendly to the landscaping and everything else.
So Bill gave three choices: sodium acetate, potassium acetate, and calcium magnesium acetate.
I think we'd be very pleased with any of those three. Or, you know, in a condition specifying all three are options.
So would we say then, Bob, that no chloride products shall be used within blank feet of the resource area, but the use of, you know, any of those three products, it would be allowed?
Yeah, so I think where it has blank feet, again, we are restricted to the,
Outside the,
yeah, within the perimeter of the, retaining wall.
Right. Elaine, do you have that?
No sodium chloride shall be used within the perimeter of the retaining wall. And then what I thought I'd do is, then it just says, see Bill Renault's website regarding proper de-icers, and then refer Rebecca back to that language.
Yeah, I mean, even more specific, no chloride, no de-icers containing chloride.
Not just sodium chloride, just no chloride products.
And that would eliminate potassium, calcium, and sodium.
Got it. And then we'll go back to Bill's language.
Yeah.
Yep, I would refer to it as the DPW language.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, got it.
No, that's a great suggestion and a great solution.
Yeah, and we should make a comment to Rebecca that should be changed in the standard order.
Yes, you've read my mind.
Can you, Elaine, can you make a note of that for Rebecca?
I will. I
Thank
will.
you.
I'll shoot you guys a link to this page.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, is there anything else? I think
I think that's it.
we have covered it.
And then we promised you that we'd get this to you, and I think Rebecca was on board. So Elaine, you're gonna give Rebecca these notes? And I know,
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'll talk to her Thursday when she's in again.
right, and then the idea would be get them out, I think, by the end of the week, is that right?
I will have to leave that to Rebecca, but I'll see that she gets all of these notes. As a matter of fact, I'll type them up. So all she has to do is cut and paste them.
I know Rebecca did tell me that was her intention.
Okay.
All right, anything else on this? All right, so just to kind of rehash, we did close the meeting. We talked about special conditions. Elaine is typing up the notes and we'll get those to Rebecca. And we should be good to go. So Chris, thank you. Jesse, thank you.
That's great. Yeah, thank you very much for all your hard work. And until the next time.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, good night, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, are you gonna vote on this? Did I miss that?
No, I missed that. So would somebody like to make a motion to issue the standard conditions with the additional 9 as discussed?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Jim,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I also vote yes.
Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Judy.
Very much. Thank you.
All right. Elaine, are you all set to move on or you need a minute?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we have 2 Angem Lane.
Yep, we are here.
Hello, Henry.
Hey. Hello, everyone.
All right, so what are we discussing? I think there was an email that came around today.
Jim went out to do a site visit.
And he
Yes.
did.
Yes, I did.
Jim, would you like to?
Well, what we
Um,
talked about, there is, like he had said,
Two-
about what?
2 Angem Lane.
I understand that. That's what I'm talking about.
So what did you find when you went to 2 Angem Lane?
I found that there was indeed an inch and a half, a foot and a half of water in there. Now, then I asked him to get a hold of the guy and see if he can give us an explanation as to why he can't get it done sooner, or
Okay, the guy is the landscaper that,
the previous owner, or if he had a landscape picked out and why he didn't have one picked out. So Henry, did you?
This
I
is Steve,
talked
the
with
previous
Steve.
owner.
Yes. I mean, we are basically follow the instructions, as described in the enforcement order. We were waiting for the water to, at least, the water table to go down a little bit. But the enforcement order prohibited us from doing anything, with the wetland area. So that's why we were able to relocate the shed, but we are not able to finish, the restoration and replication of the wetland before September the 30th. So this is essentially the problem that we are presenting to the committee to decide.
Did you talk to a landscape contractor or someone that does that type of work?
I didn't. I believe Steve has been working on it.
Who has?
Steve,
This is Steve, the previous owner. And if, Jim, when you made the site visit, you can see where the shed was moved, and there were 2 or 3 nests under there of whatever, I'm not sure what was living under there, but that's gone now. But you can see where the old soil was, and you can see the 2.5, 3 inches of loam that was brought in all around that shed to seed. I mean, if we can just scrape that 2 or 3 inches that's above the hole where the shed was and plant the plants, I'm sure we can do that. But the thing is, we cannot take that wall area down. The water will just pour right into the yard. And I was there for 27 years, and that water will come into the yard.
Hey, Steve, sorry to interrupt. Can you just identify yourself for the record?
Say that again, please.
Can you just identify yourself for the record, please?
Yeah, sure. This is Steve McDermott. I'm the previous owner. I was there for 27 years.
Right, thank you.
And just for the for the record, Steve and I have been working together, to enforce this the request in the enforcement order. And I did talk with a friend, who does this kind of construction work. His recommendation is he's gonna have to bring equipment in, and that's gonna make a big mess both to my backyard and to the wetland because of the water table over there. So that's why, I mean, that's why we are here again.
So I'm thinking we can scrape the 2 or 3 inches of soil, the loam that was brought in all around that shed area, and then plant the plants that.
Well, aren't we following the plan that Libby did?
That Libby did, yes.
We are following that, yeah, but just the stone wall part we are not able to deliver at this point.
Yeah, so we talked about at the last meeting of be able to do numbers 1 through 9 right now, I thought. I'm looking at the mitigation wetland construction sequence. So have 1 through 9 been done?
Mostly, there are some bushes that we haven't relocated because that's gonna bring erosion. That's gonna lead to erosion of soil. They are there to holding the bank, preventing the water to get into my backyard.
So what are you asking for an extension of these conditions?
Because we were not able to start.
No, I'm not saying why. What are you asking? Out of 1 through 14, what are you asking, or 1 through 21? What are you asking for an extension for? That's all I'm asking.
I guess for all the rest of them, because we are not able to do
numbers 10 through 21.
We were not doing exactly as described by the items in the listed in the enforcement order. I think we finished some of them in the first 9 and then we stopped. So there are still some items that we partially fulfilled in the in 1 to 9. So that's why, I mean, we are just asking the extension of deadline for the whole thing instead of specific items.
Henry, do you have a date in mind for the extension that you're looking for?
For, I mean, not really, because we are waiting for the water table to go down, and for now, the water table is just gonna rise until next year, you know.
Steve, does that pond dry up every year?
It does not. Some seasons, if it's a really, dry summer,
Yeah.
it'll dry up.
So you're gonna have to deal
Partially.
with, you're gonna have to deal with the water one way or another, right?
Correct.
How deep does it, I mean, how shallow does it get?
It's mud. It'll be wet mud.
What mud?
So, I mean, like I said, if you can see, Jim, if you made the site visit, you saw where the shed was, and you can see, that there's 2 to 3 inches of soil all the way around that shed hole,
Yeah,
where the shed was sitting on the original ground surface. You can see
Yeah.
where the 3 inches of loam was. That can all be scraped off. We can plant all the plants. I think the only exception would be is we can't scrape down to the bottom of the pond. If that's what I don't know if that was in the enforcement, but we can't scrape down over there. It'll just make the pond bigger, and it's going to disturb all the wildlife that we've already disturbed.
well, I can't recall what we approved on the plan, so I won't have to pull the plan up, but I thought we were doing some excavation in there down, we're going from existing grade, existing grass down to the bottom of the wall with some area. I don't know how big an area it was, I don't remember. But, so I can't imagine that all the plants were going in one corner underneath where the shed was.
Well, all those plants were going to go from the edge of the wall all the way up to where the land goes uphill.
Does
That was
anybody
the
have the plan easily available?
Plan
they
from
could share?
Libby.
We got the other, we should have that plan to figure this out.
Well, it's part of the enforcement order. It's an attachment to the enforcement order. Elaine, I'm sure you don't have it right there. I'm sure.
No, I do not.
I have it.
Henry, would you like to share that with us, please?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me pull it out.
Okay.
I'm using a
Thank you.
different laptop today.
Can I make a suggestion
Yes, Judy.
that whatever steps have been undertaken, that it be documented with photos, then at least the commission has something to go by, to reference.
Yeah,
That's
So
a
you
good
know
idea.
what conditions are done and what condition it's in.
Jim, when you went out there, did you have the conditions with you?
no. No,
Because I think that's the only way to memorialize it.
That's a good suggestion.
And the pond was dry last year when I was out there holding the tape for Jim. So I know it does dry up.
I mean, at least the edge that does dry out, but this year's precipitation is leaving us a 1.5 foot, deep of water. I can share my screen right now if I have the permission.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically from yeah,
I think, Henry, weren't they looking for the picture of where all the plants were going?
yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
the
Plan. Ah, there we go. The pictures. There we go.
yeah, this one, or maybe there's a better one. No,
That one there.
Yeah.
That next one, Henry,
like this one.
right
Okay.
there.
Yep.
Can you
Okay.
turn that around, Henry?
Not sure if I can. This is in my email.
Well, actually, I
Sorry, I
think
cannot.
on the right-hand side of that, with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 round circles, that's where
Yeah.
the wall is right now.
Exactly. This is where the wall is right now.
So the plants are going right up to that. And if we're putting plants there and you won't dig down deep, you're going to be planting the plants are going to be underwater.
Is this the restoration of a BBW?
This is both a restoration and a replication.
Can we see that? Can we scroll down.
Yeah, look
so
at the narrative. Look on the,
The top.
wait, just read the second paragraph.
Yeah,
Read
right
the first
there.
two.
Construction wetland. Okay, well, if you're building a wetland, you're not gonna leave the fill up that high. You need some plants that'll go down in the water,
Plants will be in
or
the
go
water.
down into the wet soil. I mean, you're making a wetland, you're not making a playground.
Right,
Well, from my point of view, you know, like right now, what is holding us up is this sentence right here. You know, at a time when there is little or no surface water visible, you know, with adjacent positions of the natural wetland. So this is what was holding us up. We cannot do anything because it, you know, this is asking there is little or no surface water. And Jim, when you were here the other day, you agreed it's not it's not little or no surface water.
Now,
And then,
what?
Okay. All right, so can we go through what has been done
sure.
on the conditions and what remains to be done?
The first one, I kind of stake out the approximate locations because I was relocating some of the plants, landscaping plants, you know, in the wetland area. So the corner is marked out. And then no fence yet. I don't think this is done, but Jim was here earlier. We did relocate the shed, so that means, you know, level the gravel pad, remove and transport, you know, and all that. But this is not done yet because we don't know when we can actually initiate the project.
what's not done yet? What number?
Number six. Number 7. So we did remove the former shed gravel pad and you know, and then we haven't done 8. We haven't done yet because, you know, that's kind of in the water right now. 9 is not done yet because it's covering up the soil. You know, I don't want to leave the soil exposed in my backyard. Removing the retaining wall, this is not done yet because it's underwater, and the rest we don't need to go
Right,
through.
so it sounds like, Henry, you kind of did number 1, and you did 4 and 5
4 or 5, yes.
and 7.
That's
did
right.
4,
Okay,
5,
the one,
4, 5, and 7, and kind
Yep.
of number 1, whatever that means.
That's right. Yeah. Well,
I
I stick out the corner with the plant. So we, you know, all I need to, you know, if you look at the map, you know, what I need to do from my side is just essentially define this this line here. There is a plant right here, as you can see in the map, and then I just planted another plant. So all we need to do is connect this line.
yeah, but wait a minute. Henry, do you not understand that you're making a wetland?
I
This
understand.
isn't-
I'm waiting.
You have to pull that grade back down to get it near the water table, or you can't plant anything. It's not gonna, those should be wetlands.
I know it's on my side. It's on my side of the property, not on the other not on this side of the land.
No, but you were supposed to take up the stones on the.
It's
retaining
underwater.
wall
I cannot do
and
anything.
Use them further back to.
I understand that. I cannot do anything, Jim.
Okay, but you talk about plants you can't put in the water, is what you said earlier.
That's what Steve said.
That's not.
You are
what-
confusing
What?
again. That's what Steve said. You are confusing me and Steve. We
Oh,
look
I'm
different.
Did I say Steve? I'm sorry if
Yeah.
I did. But, I mean, you have to make a wetland. That's the thing. And,
Right,
and
that's the issue,
that,
right?
that requires shaping the ground
Yep.
and bringing the ground back up to the.
So the
grass-
issue is whether he should do that in 1.5 feet of water.
No, well, you could leave the wall there and dig it all out and then take the wall out after. But I'm not opposed to him waiting for a better time, because I do think there's a lot of water. I just want to make sure he understands what he's building, not.
I understand what I'm doing. You know, it's just that I cannot do anything right now, given the clause, given the description in the enforcement order, you know. So we did what we can do at this point.
Okay. All right, so we.
And you're
need
not
to-
giving us you don't know when you can get this done by. And Judy, you said you saw little or no water when you went last summer out with Jim?
There was none.
And that was last summer, Judy?
That was.
That water is going to be there
fall.
until next July, August, if
No,
we
no,
have a hot
I'm just
summer.
getting a sense. I'm not, I understand. I'm just asking Judy a question, that's all.
Yes, that's correct.
So
We'd have
last
to wait.
summer, right,
Correct.
Right,
Okay.
you have to wait till next summer to do this.
Judy,
So it
you
has to
said
be-
I mean,
last
it's
summer,
been-
you mean summer of 22?
Yes,
Okay.
and it could be drier sooner, so maybe you could put a 6-month extension and review it in March, just so it doesn't fall by the wayside.
Well, there won't be anything to review, will there? I mean, he can't do
To see
anything.
what the water level is. To keep it on
Well-
your radar. If
Well,
you-
in
Well-
March, it's going to be a skating rink.
Well,
just
I
really
don't know
quick,
about that.
if you look at the historical precipitation rate of the greater Boston area, from now on to pretty much June, the monthly precipitation on average, is going to increase. So with that, I don't think it's going to dry up in
Right,
March.
but last year was a
It
dry
may
year,
though.
so
Just
Last
just
year
like
it didn't
just
dry
like right
until-
now
until
is
June.
just like right now is at a normal time with high water levels, it could dry up. You don't know that.
Right.
It's worth being able to take a look. I can tell you that I've seen wetlands become more drier in the winter if it's a dry winter, or we haven't had ice for extended periods of times. So it's worth taking a look at it rather than just writing it off until the next summer.
Yeah, I think Judy's suggestion, is a good one, because we can always extend again. But extending it for 6 months, it does keep it on the forefront. And if we do have a spell where it does dry up and gives the opportunity, work could possibly get done. And if not, we revisit in 6 months and say, we'll give you another 6 months extension. And see what happens over the summer.
Mhm. Yeah,
Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
sounds like a plan to me.
yes, me too.
Henry, does that sound good?
Is there any way we can revise this, or, is the commission going to provide some, documents to document this? Because I want to make sure this is not turn into another, it's been 2 years now. It turned into another issue that just keep dragging on. I personally
Well,
want.
we're not dragging it on, you're dragging it on, so, I mean. So,
In the beginning, you were complaining about there being too much water to tear up your lawn and tear up your grass and work in your yard.
I was not complaining. I was complaining that the wording in this enforcement is not specific enough. I mean, the reason why I'm taking care of this case is because the wording in the condition order of condition 30 years ago was not clear enough, leading to the responsibility falling through the crack, until I figure out that there is an issue with both my individual lot and the whole subdivision. So that's why we need to be super clear with the language we use in enforcement order or order conditions, so that this kind of
So
issue.
just to clarify, I'm not positive, but spring or summer of 2023. So the point we're trying to make is if we put in long extensions, that stuff gets lost. Someone loses track of things and it doesn't happen. So I can tell you, putting in the summer of 2023 is to bring this issue up in case it doesn't get done in a timely manner. It hasn't gotten done in a timely manner. It's understandable. It's weather related. You couldn't do anything about it. But that's why that time frame was listed in the original enforcement order. So by adding extension of 6 months, it just gives you opportunity, but also puts an endpoint where we have to revisit it and not lose track of it.
yeah, and we certainly can send you a notice saying that time period of spring or summer of 20 has been extended until March of 2024. And so you have something in writing saying we've extended it.
Well, what's that? I'm sorry, I missed the last part of.
We can send you a letter with an extension until March of 2024.
Right,
Okay.
And then we can revisit again in March, and if need be, extend it to a drier period in this summer or something of 24.
Okay,
Does that work for you?
yeah, I'm fine with it. Steve, does that okay? Yeah.
Whatever, it's up to you.
All right, so we'll issue a letter with a 6-month extension, well, until March of 2024.
You have to vote on it too.
And then we can revisit, if you have an opportunity to do the
And should
work
we
between
say
now and then.
March when? March, beginning of March, end of March? When?
Henry, what would you like? March 1st or March 31st? Or
I
any
would
other
say
date?
March 31st, because
Let's do
March 1st,
31st.
you're gonna have snow and you're not even gonna
Yeah.
be able to see
Yeah.
anything.
The ground will be frozen. We won't be able to do any construction work at
Okay.
that time anyway, yeah.
All right, so March
So I
31st.
move that we issue an extension letter to the end of March of 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor? Ken,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. All right, so we'll get a letter out to you with an extension on the enforcement order until the end of March 2024.
Okay, sounds
All
good.
right. All right, thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you.
All right, good
Mhm.
night, guys.
Good night.
All right. We do have one additional item on the agenda, and that is a tree removal for 1 Harrison Lane.
Yes, hi.
Hello, welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, we were in front of you, the commission, I think,
3
well,
months
it was twice, but I think we got the order of conditions in June. We're looking to do a 2-story addition on a single family house at 1 Harrison Lane. The addition's approximately 400 or 500 square feet. What has come up since then, we are moving forward with the addition, but it won't be until next year at this point. But what has come up since then is we need to remove a tree. Not only for the addition, but this has been a tree that has sort of, has been on our mind for some time as property owners. It's quite close to our house. Yeah, I did send over some pictures. I'm happy to share them, but I see that you have them. That's great.
Which is the tree? Can you?
So, yep, it's the center one, the middle one, right there next to the shed.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Okay, that's what I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So, and I sent you a picture of like the roots. You can see that, are pretty much under the shed, kind of going into the foundation a little bit. The addition will be coming out, probably about the middle of the shed. I think it comes out about 5 feet is what our approved site plan is. So the tree itself is approximately 100 feet away from the Mill River, which I believe the commission came out and visited the river back in June. So I believe the site plans that we show, it's like 97, 98 feet away from that.
You understand our jurisdiction is 200 feet, right?
Oh, okay. Well, the jurisdiction, yeah, it's 200, any building done within 200 feet, I understand needs approval. But I was reading through the tree policy and it's land within 100 feet. The buffer zone is land within 100 feet.
But it's not of a river. The river requirements are different than a wetland other than a river.
Oh, okay. All right. So again, it's the 200 feet limit. Fine. All right. So then that regardless. All right.
Mhm.
But so yes, that's why we're in front of you.
So how close will the foundation of the addition be to the tree?
I would say by estimating that it would be maybe 3 feet.
So is
Okay.
is there any, right now, I'm sorry, the tree is not diseased, it's not sick, it's not,
I've talked to 2 certified arborists. They say it's definitely close. It's currently overhanging our house, and if once we build the foundation, the addition, it's almost nearly
Mhm.
impossible to put an addition there or any construction being done there the way that it's currently hanging over the house.
Well, but just digging the foundation is you're gonna have to remove all the roots on the tree, right? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. That's why I sent a picture of the roots, because you can
no, but
see
if
that.
the foundation is gonna be 3 feet away, and when you dig a hole, Jim, that's another 6 or 8 inches or foot on the other side of the foundation that you have to dig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
they'll
now
be
you're
very
talking,
close
you're
to
talking
the
digging
trunk.
an 8-foot hole, or how, is this gonna have a full basement, this addition?
No, it
The,
will not have a full basement.
But
you're
even a
still-
frost,
you're-
even a
but-
frost wall, you're
Yeah.
gonna be very close to the trunk of the tree.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
be very close to it, and you're gonna be digging down, 4 feet or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Within 2 feet of the tree, and that's
Right.
gonna compromise it. So it just seems to me that,
Yeah, that's what the experts have kind of told me too, that it's just once you start digging around it, it's.
can I ask, looking back at the picture, are the 2 trees on the other side of the fence, are they both healthy?
No. So those are my neighbor's trees, so that's another issue that will become, well, I mean, it's their issue, not really ours, but we will have to trim one of their branches for sure, which is
Okay,
encroaching even more so actually than our tree that we're looking to remove. So we have to trim that one back. That one is definitely aging and I'm not sure if it has decay or not, but it definitely
Okay.
looks like it may.
okay.
Are
That's
there
that's the
root issues with those trees coming into your foundation area or not?
I'm not sure about the root systems, the foundations of it, but definitely the overhead.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to tell, I mean,
Yep,
we
yep.
have so much root system right there that's just all gonna be dug up.
The reason I was asking is that that taking the tree out on this side, next to the shed, if there's significant trees all around it, there's really not a lot of canopy. That's all I was getting at, really, is that when if you have 5 trees and you take out one and there's 4 remaining trees, that's different than when you take out a tree and there's no trees anywhere near it and you've lost canopy. But on the other hand, if these trees are also going to be sick, and this is like a domino effect, we should consider that all 3 trees are likely going to have to get taken down at some point, based on what you're saying. That's a more material change. That's all.
And in the notice of intent, this tree was marked as coming down, obviously, and was there any replacement suggested?
I don't believe it's actually, the only thing in the order of conditions that we discussed was the dry well.
Oh, wait, this was not marked as one to be removed when we approved the project?
I don't believe so, no.
No.
No, it was not gonna be removed, or just
No,
wasn't-
I don't want it to be removed. I prefer it not to be removed.
No, but it's just curious to see that it wasn't shown that it's gonna be removed.
Right, because our intent was not to have it removed, but in further talking with everyone involved here, it looks like it needs to be removed.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things come to mind. Once they start digging, the damage to the root structure could, one of 2 things, cause the tree to be unstable and fall, or more likely cause permanent damage to the tree that it would not survive with that amount of damage to the roots. So I think both scenarios are likely. Because you'd be digging so close to the trunk of that tree that
Actually, it's probably going to damage, and it might wind up damaging the roots to the trees on the other side of the fence as well, given how close you are.
Yeah, that's possible. So yes, it certainly seems to be
Yeah,
needing to be removed. So you did read the tree policy though, Rochelle, correct?
Yes,
You saw the replacement options that are listed?
I do.
Any suggestions?
My only questions with that is that, well, first of all, the tree can't go back in that area.
Yeah, correct. That's not a
So
problem.
it's sort of, it's sort of trying to find placement on my property where another tree could go.
And it could be shrubs, right? If you look through the policy, there are alternatives. You could have shrubs or a combination.
Sure, yeah,
You know, basically however you want to handle it. I'm just looking at
like
the latest.
2 large shrubs, 5 to 6 feet in height. And 3 small shrubs, 3 feet or greater in height. Okay, so I mean, and that's definitely something durable. You know, one deciduous shade tree sounds like big.
Yeah.
That's, I just don't have much space on the property for that. So yeah, but shrubs is something we could definitely consider for sure.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, just to chime in, possibly a stupid question, but does the replacement shrubbery or tree, does it need to be on our property? Or like our neighbors are actually
That's a good
considering,
point.
they were considering some new planting. And it's like, well, we can buy them a tree and everybody, it's a win-win. But I don't know if that satisfies the policy.
It wouldn't be under your order of conditions or anything. I mean, how would the commission regulate that if it's on someone else's property? If it's
Yeah, I
approved
don't know.
under
I
you,
figured
but
it
it's
might
on
not
someone
work,
else's
but
property.
couldn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
there
an
are
interesting
different
question if they
options.
did it, but if they did it, would it be them? Okay.
You know, look at what works best for you.
I guess the one thing when I read through this, and I just want to point out, you know, we've lived here for nearly 15 years. I've planted shrubs kind of along this fence line that you see, but down further, multiple times. Nothing survives along there. I've done it probably 2 or 3 times. Right now, I actually have just put rocks down just because nothing seems to survive. There's another tree to the right of this that kind of takes up a lot, I think, and so just plants just don't do well around there. And so my question is if we in fact do plant 2 or 3 shrubs, I saw something through that you guys come back like once a year or you know, in 5 years time to double check that. Like what if the shrub dies? Am I responsible to constantly replace this?
Yeah, there is a note in the policy. I'm looking through it now.
Yeah, it was something when I read through it, was like,
Replacement plantings must be installed within 180 days of the existing tree. Agent will conduct a site visit 6 months after the approval to observe and photograph plantings. In the event the deadline cannot be met, please contact conservation. Site visits will subsequently be conducted at 1-year and 2-year intervals. Replacement plantings that do not survive for at least 2 growing seasons must be replaced. That's the very last point on the
Okay.
policy.
so we just
So-
continue to replace them if they.
Yeah, well, what
don't
I'd say is
survive.
this, I'd say, you know, let's talk about what you're looking at planting and where you're looking at planting it. It's possible whatever you planted, either the root structure in the area was too dense and it got choked off, or maybe it didn't have the proper sunlight, or maybe it wasn't the right species for the exposure it was getting in that location.
Mhm.
So maybe either Elaine or Rebecca can help you out and maybe recommend something more suitable once you pick the location
Okay,
that will withstand, you know, the climate and the soil conditions. I mean, oftentimes when you plant a new shrub or whatever, you do need to put an appropriate amount of you know, organic, you know, peat moss or whatever else in the soil and mix it up to give it a good jump start.
Mhm.
There are things you can do to give a better, I guess, success rate of what you plant. And the first thing is to pick the right species.
Right. Well, that's
Elaine,
that's
if
the
this were
tricky
gonna,
part.
Elaine, if this were gonna come down to the option of contribution to the tree fund, what would you estimate a tree like that would require? Back of the envelope.
Well, if we do 10 feet, $10 per linear foot, most mature trees are about 60 feet high. I do have a question, so that would be your figure, $600. I
Okay.
do have
So-
a question. Oh, go ahead, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, I just want to say that we're talking about alternatives to a $600 payment. That's all I
Well,
wanted to do.
but
was
hang
at
on,
least
we do
calibrate that.
specify a minimum of 250 and a maximum of 500.
Okay, well, that's what it is under the policy then, forgive me.
Yeah.
I don't. have a copy
Okay,
of the
okay,
policy.
well, that's fine. All I wanted to do was understand, all I'm trying to do is frame the significance of the issue. It's that we're talking about, and I'm just trying to just provide some overall perspective, that's all.
That's
I
helpful.
do, I do have a question. Can you tell me, do you know if that's a Norway maple tree?
It is.
Aha,
All right, that says a lot because Norway maples
they're invasive.
chemical, well, they produce a chemical that suppresses the growth of everything else except for other Norway maples.
Well, that explains a lot.
It does explain a lot. It means that why that area tends to be a bare spot. It also means if you try and plant underneath it, other Norway maples, perhaps the 2 trees that are in your neighbor's yard, are going to produce those same chemicals that are going to kill whatever you put in.
There's
So-
nothing you can do.
So you either,
Interesting.
so you have to, I mean, what you can do is you can put in raised beds with a lot of topsoil in them, but over time, those chemicals are going to fall on those beds. So what I would like to do actually is I'd like to go out, take a look at the back of your yard, see how many other Norway maples you have growing in your backyard to see if it's possible to put something else in another corner of your backyard, or if all you have is Norway maples, then there's a good chance nothing you put in will grow over time.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, so I'll be in the office on Friday. Is this okay with everybody else?
That's a wonderful
Okay.
idea.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Great.
'cause it just seems silly to spend money on something that's futile, that's not gonna
Yeah,
help.
exactly.
No, I
exactly.
agree. I mean,
Okay.
that's helpful because you easily could spend over $500 over 5 years and have
Yeah,
it
yeah.
all die.
So the tree, so what we've concluded is the tree for sure has to come down. We understand that. So that part, that's a given. And it's just a question of, what is the
Replacement.
offset? Yeah.
Can I have
That-
your telephone number so I can call you and
Sure.
go on over on Friday?
Absolutely.
And-
617
617
281
281.
6138.
And you'll be around on Friday afternoon?
Yes, I will.
Okay, I'll drive out on Friday and we can look at your backyard together.
Okay, perfect. So
Okay.
should we extend to the next meeting?
Do you have somebody scheduled or somebody you've
So,
selected? to
our
keep the tree?
plan, I actually, I have met with several, certified arborists. And I think I've narrowed it down to one I'd like to work with. And our plan is to actually not do this until the winter. It will just be better on particularly our front lawn. He's gonna have to, bring a bucket truck up and, I think it would be best to do it, when the ground is hard.
Makes sense.
So,
Yeah.
so that's our plan. We hope to do it in January.
Okay.
All right, so Elaine will contact you on Friday and come on by and see what she can offer for suggestions.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you all.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Elaine.
You're welcome.
That's like chemical warfare, what goes on in that
It is.
backyard, huh?
That's what it is. Yep.
All right, I do not see anything else on my agenda. Is there anything else?
What happened with, tell us if you care to about, did you get out of, obviously you got out of Maui, did you go to a different location in Hawaii, did you come home?
Yeah, no, it was pretty
Horrible.
it's pretty crazy what was going on. We never got to our condo. My family did get there the day before, but then power went out because 30 telephone poles came down Tuesday,
Oh my God.
sometime Tuesday. They got there Monday afternoon. Had planned on going shopping Tuesday, but then power went out at 5 a.m. So they had no food and no power. We got in Tuesday afternoon and they shut the road down. We stood in line in traffic for hours
I
you know,
can't
with food,
imagine.
bringing food to them, and ended up not getting through and not getting to our condo. Got turned around with thousands of other people, all trying to figure out where they were going to stay and all trying to get off the island. We spent the night in the car along with thousands of other people.
Oh my God.
Went to Target to brush our teeth and found people there who had left their condos for the day and couldn't get back. And so their money and clothes and all their stuff were in their condos and they couldn't get back to it. So they're in Target buying toothbrushes and toothpaste and clothes and everything else. Basically, the parking lots everywhere are just campgrounds for people who couldn't get back to the other side or got displaced. Then the fires started later on that night. They originally said they had it completely contained, but the winds were crazy. The winds were hitting 60+ mile-an-hour gusts when we were there. And what happened was there was a hurricane about 500 miles off the coast, and the combination of the high pressure system and low pressure system hit right at Maui and the Big Island, causing 90+ mile-an-hour winds on the Big Island and 60 to 70 mile-an-hour winds in Maui. So those winds combined with the drought and the downed power lines, shorting out and sparking, caused these fires just to jump around everywhere. It was crazy. That whole town of Lahaina is gone. Just gone. It looks like
I was there in 2017. I can't believe it.
it's gone.
Oh.
It looks like a bomb went off. It looks like a nuclear explosion.
So what happened to you? You were in the parking lot at Target, and then what happened?
We went to a parking lot at a Marriott thinking it might be a little quieter and there wouldn't be people just wandering around all night long, and that didn't change much. I stayed awake all night. Then I saw that Starbucks was opening at 4:30 in the morning. So there around 4 a.m. Waited there. There's already people lining up to get in at 4:30 just to use the bathrooms and get food. Bless you, Paul.
God bless you.
I knew there was another route around to the west side, going the northern route along the shore with the cliff, the cliffs and the hairpin turns
Yes.
and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. The road to
So,
Lahaina. The road to Lahaina.
It's worse to the road. The road to Hana is like going down Main Street, Wakefield, compared to this road.
Oh, is that right? Oh, wow.
Yes. So I said, once we have daybreak, we'll take the northern route and get to the condo. So we went to Starbucks, 4:30, we're eating breakfast. And I said at daybreak, we're heading to the other route. We started doing that, and the National Guard had just shut down that access to the
Oh my
side,
God. So
the
where
west
was
side.
the condo? What part of Maui was the condo?
Lahaina, right north of
Oh,
Lahaina.
your condo
Kaanapali.
was in Lahaina. Oh, okay.
Kaanapali, one town north.
Okay, got.
So we got turned around by the National Guard. At this point, I'm about 40 hours with no sleep. And I'm like, I'm not spending another night in the car. We're either going to find someplace somewhere on this island or find a plane off of it. So we started driving, and I saw a resort in the distance. And I said, let's just pull over there and see what it is. I didn't know what it was. They weren't open yet. It was like, I don't know, at this point, it was like 7:30 in the morning. We waited till 9 till the office opened. And they said that these are privately owned condos, mostly second homes for people, but they do rent them out. When the real estate company next door opens up at 9:30, go see if there's anything you can rent. So we're very lucky, and we found a unit that we could rent.
Oh, wow.
Until we originally did for one night, thinking we'd be able to find a flight. No. So we originally had a flight on Sunday to leave Maui to go to Oahu. We had kept that flight. So we knew we had a way off on Sunday. Meanwhile,
right.
They're flying empty planes into the island to take people off and sending buses through, the barricade
to get you
to pull people out. So we were able to keep that unit until Sunday. Meanwhile, my family that got there the day before had no cell phone, no food, nothing. He couldn't even contact us. They thought we were on our way with food that Tuesday night. They finally walked like 2.5 miles up the shore and found a hotel that had a generator going. They were able to charge their phones up
Oh, wow.
and call me and saying, hey, we're all being kicked out of here. We have to leave by Saturday morning. Can you try to find a place for us to stay? We found a place where we were at for the night for them. And then we all flew to Oahu on that Sunday. We're only supposed to stay in Oahu for one night and then fly back to Maui. Of course,
How many nights did you stay in total?
We were able to extend. So we get to Oahu, we had the 1 night reservation. We asked if they had any space available, and they didn't have anything in any regular rooms, but she said, hang on a minute, let me look. And she said, we have some suites available. We'll put you up in the suites at the same price as the room you are renting for the night. So we had the 6 of us had 3 different suites. They were like, I don't know, $800 suites a night. We got them for under $200 each. And she applied a disaster relief credit to our bill for each of the nights to make up the difference.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were fortunate. We were lucky.
And then you had a flight from Oahu back to the mainland, obviously, then.
We spent about a day and a half on the phone and internet with airlines, rental cars, hotels, trying to just make arrangements to find a way either to get somewhere or find a place to stay. So it all worked out in the end for us. We were fortunate. We ended up staying in Maui for the whole amount of time we had planned, though it wasn't the vacation obviously we expected.
Oh.
We spent half of it
Like
just
travel
trying to
agent.
travel arrangements.
One you won't forget.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my daughter was supposed to meet us Thursday with her boyfriend and stay in the condo in Maui. So she had to, change all her flights and plans and try to figure out what she was going to do. And it all worked out for her. She went to the Big Island for the amount of time she was supposed to be in Maui, and then her plans for Oahu, she kept. So that worked out well for her too. But it was tough. We saw dogs at the airport, cadaver dogs. At the airport leaving after, they had worked for so many days. FEMA people, were on the flight with us leaving. It was tough. There was wildfires all around. We were in Kihei, one town south of Lahaina, where we actually found a place. And any place a fire could burn was burning around us. Any grassed area or vegetated area was burning. You couldn't even see Haleakala because of the smoke. We had, the car was getting covered with like ashes and soot. The patio on the door, you'd walk out and there'd be ashes on the doorstep and all that. It was crazy. So many people, got displaced and lost everything.
Right. Horrible.
And one of the saddest things of all that I heard was because there was no power that morning, that Tuesday, school was canceled. But a lot of the parents still had jobs elsewhere on the island where there was power. They went off to their jobs, couldn't get back to the homes behind them, and their kids were there home. Yeah. Yep. The fire was so intense, cars were melting. Metal was actually melting. And it spread with the winds. It's winds at 60 miles an hour. The ashes and embers just kept traveling.
Right.
Yeah, it was crazy. Driving around that first night, we just saw fires all around in the distance, just lighting up the night.
That must have been just so frightening, really.
It was crazy. And the winds were just nuts. Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it really was how perfect storm events. And then, the firefighters had no water pressure.
Right.
Like mists were coming out of the hoses.
Oh, shit.
People were stuck in their cars. There was a traffic jam trying to get out of Lahaina, and they couldn't get through. The cars were just
and the fact there was really only one main road in and out, another whole thing. Right. Yeah.
Yep. And the strange part was my family was one town north in Kaanapali, had no idea what was going on because they had no power, no cell, no service, and the wind was blowing the other way. They couldn't even smell the smoke or see the smoke.
Oh wow.
Yet we had it all around us.
Right, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
So they had no idea of what was happening one town south of them. But it was crazy. I mean, obviously never experienced anything like that.
No,
But yeah, nuts. Family. So, when we went to that Marriott parking lot, ran in to use the bathroom, and it was like families just laying on the floor and everything else, not knowing what to do. They ended up kicking everybody out, locking the door, and putting a sign up, no public restrooms.
oh my God.
There was no place anybody could go.
And that was the Marriott, unbelievable.
Yeah. Yep.
Lovely.
Yep. Yeah.
By the
so I
way,
don't know
I've been to that Target is a lovely Target in Maui.
It came in very handy. Yeah, I'm in there brushing my teeth like at midnight or something. When people are in there
I'm
buying.
sure, yeah, being
buying
there for that
clothes.
reason does not make it lovely, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like, I can't even explain. It was like the parking lot. I mean, it was just all these people just like hanging out in their cars and families and not knowing what to do.
well, no one had a place to go, of course.
There was no place to go. We called every place possible. No place to go. Yeah. We were very lucky that next day, to find that condo.
Yes, very fortunate, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the
I
fact that
don't
they
know
were
why
even
I stopped.
open.
I just saw it. I'm like, let's just try this place. There's no signs, nothing. It just looked like a resort of some type. I'm like, let's just go there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were lucky that they were opened that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had to wait a few hours for the office to open and all
Right.
that, but we were fortunate that there was a vacancy that we could have rent somebody's condo for.
I feel like you should be interviewed by a local newspaper.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was checking the Hawaiian Electric to see when power was going to be restored, and they kept saying could be by the evening, could by
Oh my
be by
God,
this
really?
evening. It wasn't happening. And then I had the
know.
government website up on my phone, checking the road closures to see when they were going to open that road. And of course, there were no updates there other than it's closed. The west side of the island is closed,
Right, can't get
which
there.
is where most people go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's good you got back. Everyone was safe.
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah, no, we were the lucky ones. We were lucky we didn't actually get to the condo because we would have had no power, no food.
Right.
And it worked out okay for us. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So that's that's my story.
That's quite the story, Bob.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Oh, anybody else have anything else?
I got nothing.
Any vacation tales? No,
Yeah,
nothing
no,
like that.
nothing compared to that. No, definitely
Nope.
not. Nope.
All right.
Judy, you got anything?
right.
Any other
I went to the Cape for a week.
Okay.
There's an open space forum, a public forum coming up in October. That's all I have.
Okay. Did we figure out something for Town Day?
Yeah, Jimmy and Peter are all over it.
Awesome.
It is Town Day.
Columbus weekend.
Yeah, it's a Saturday of Columbus weekend. Yeah.